Welcome to Crypto Meatheads, where I, Jeff Black, am joined by my friends Andy Peters and Jason Theobald. Three guys in their 40s, possibly going through a midlife crisis, diving headfirst into the world of digital assets. Now, as we realize that retirement and financial security might be a bit further down the road, it led us to kind of join together to learn, share, and hopefully succeed in our crypto investment. So if you find this valuable and fun, we ask you share the show. Today, we have a good guest of ours, Nick Shepard, joining us. He is a good compadre of Andrew Peters, Mr. Andy on our show, but we are going to first get into our sponsors. So if you guys are interested in hearing our sponsors, great. If not, fast forward about a minute or two in the podcast. First one is New Ethics. Man, I will say this. I, time and time again, put clients of mine on their thyroids. They swear to their doctors is bad and their doctors say is normal and they get amazing results for some reason. The product is called Thyro Boost Plus. It's got active glandulars and it really helps nourish and enhance your thyroid. Plus has a bunch of micronutrients that, let's face it, there's a reason that RFK's up there talking about MAHA and everything because there's a truth to it. So we don't often get those micronutrients. It's a jam-packed product. Relentless 10 will save you 10%. All the proceeds go to support the show. Jay, you want to tell me a little bit about AVH? You've been doing some hot videos lately. I really like it.
Yeah, man, there's gonna be more videos coming out when my computer. I got the camera charged and then I broke my computer. But yeah, more videos to come. Yeah, Advanced Vitality. It's a hormone replacement therapy clinic, but we're more than that. We're anti-aging, and we also, look at things from a functional medicine, functional nutrition aspect. So all of our MPs are trained to look at things that way, talk about root causes with you. Each appointment, you're going to get about an hour of their time, especially when you first door. Way different than the general 15 minutes of the Western medical and then out the door. So if you're having issues with hormones, want to just talk anti-aging, peptides, weight loss, medical weight loss, we've got it all, and we do it from the comfort of your home. Telemed in all 50 states. So you can hit us up at advancedvitalityhrt.com. You can DM me on any of my socials, and I'll walk you into the clinic.
Badass. Andy, I know you've had a few of my and Jay's clients join the Discord group and they are loving it. I've got some really great feedback. I want to say that is the feedback I get is one, it's friendly. Nobody makes them feel stupid no matter what they ask. And they're starting to learn stuff and kind of put together what they're seeing on social media versus reality and how it's kind of a little bit more of a hustle. It's actually a grind. So here's
Awesome.
your chance. Let's talk about that Discord group. That's amazing, man.
Yeah, so Discord group, you can find it at www.realandypeters.com. And you can just join the community, or you can go in for the all VIP experience, which is bi-weekly meetings online. I send out weekly newsletters of market forecast. And then the Discord's been going on now for 4 years, but I've had a community total for 9 years. And it's a little bit more than just crypto. It's crypto trading, economic news, everything that you would need to basically be a successful trader. And in that, we also have a little bit of fun and we build a family behind it.
Oh, well, thank you for that. I have to admit, I love being in it. It's
Yep.
been fun. Crypto Congress was a fun ride. Just a little shout out to you the other day. That made me laugh when you wrote in the Discord, yo, man gets up to pee at 2:50 in the morning and buys crypto. And I was like, no, bro, sadly, I'm up that time anyway, but it is what it is. So, guys, real quick, by the time you hear this episode, we might be out of tickets, maybe not. That'll be your sign to get the tickets. We are, I think, Andy, how many we sold? Like about half of the 50. I know we're
Yeah,
pretty
we're
damn
we're
close.
right there at half right now.
Badass. All right, guys. So Saturday, February 22nd, the flyer is on social media. You can get a hold of any one of us. We can get it to you. We've been posting it heavily in our stories with the sign up link. It's $50. And I believe, Nick, you're coming up to join us, our guest who's with us, who we're going to get into in a minute.
Oh, I guess I am.
Okay, cool.
He
Well, we'll
is.
talk about it. Yeah, yeah. So, you're gonna meet some new people. If you're in the fitness industry from following Jason and I, this is a whole new endeavor for us. So we're excited to meet a whole bunch of people we've never met before
Yep.
and just share something we're passionate about because, it's cool to learn about something that can secure your financial future. And there's not a lot of known about it. A lot of it's mystique. And that's part of what we're wanting to do with this seminar. So it's $50. It just does cover the place. It's a really nice spot. It'll be a grand time. So be sure to join us. All our socials have it, so hit us up. Little market update. First off, we had DeepSeek. Ooh, that thing came out of nowhere, crushed Nvidia. And then you had, some little pro-economic talk with Trump about crypto. And then we had Jerome Powell, who I will give my personal opinion on. I think he's efficient at his job, and for 4 years it's been should be told to just go away, and we should get a younger 40-something-year-old male in there, invigorated to see it bright, but he held the rate. So it's been a weird week. So Andy, I'm gonna turn it over to you, and then Jake, chime in after that on your thoughts.
Sure.
Where with those three little points there. If you want to throw anything else, feel free to. But I thought those were the three hot ones from this last
Yeah,
week.
yeah, it was a good job.
So, well, we've got from market update on our end, and that was the coins that we've been talking about, which is Suku, Skell, Dent, Render, XRP, XLM, and H bar. Suku is down 15%. Skell is up 10%. Dent is down 20%. Render is down 20%. XRP is down 6%. XLM is down 15%, and H bar is up 16% since we last talked about it. So not a bad swing, considering that when we were talking about these, that's kind of what we said was, we want to look for retracements in these coins into our buy zones. So we had said, H bar would be a nice buy at 31 cents. And at the time that we were talking about it on our last meeting, it was sitting right at 38 cents. And it's currently sitting at 31 cents, which is a perfect buy zone. We can look at XLM. We set a perfect buy zone for XLM would have been around that 37 cents. It was currently trending at 50 cents at the time of our meeting. So it did hit that, which was this past Monday, and has since come back down just a little bit. But like I've said on all these coins that we're watching, if you can catch that retracement down, the retracement up is typically that much better. So if we look at Suku at negative 15, Dent negative 20, Render negative 20, XRP negative 6, and XLM negative 15, chances are if they can hold steady here and catch up, a nice little buy up on the next push, then all those percentages will obviously equal back out. So it's just your dollar cost averaging into them.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Now, real quick, what are your thoughts on Trump with the crypto talk he's been saying? I feel like he's actually got to say it. It's been coming out through his administration, but I feel like it's actually got to be him, where they can sound clip him with the way he talks, and it's just special and it goes viral. So, what's your thought on that, Jay?
Yeah, it seems that the market is kind of waiting for something directly from him, is what it kind of seems like, because Andy talked about some of those coins like Render, great project, to be 20% is kind of crazy at this moment, because we do have a pro crypto president, we do have a crypto czar, and we do have Cynthia Loomis talking about the Bitcoin reserve. But I think everyone's kind of holding their breath and waiting for him to literally say the Bitcoin reserve is now, it's starting. And I think they put together a committee, but I just don't know if it's moving quick enough for the overall sentiment. But I still very bullish on the market. I'm adding to my positions. I wanted 10,000 coins in XRP, so I put a sizable buy-in last week. I picked up a few more coins in the DeFi space, and then I bought a little more H bar at this dip, because I'm just all in on H bar. So overall, still bullish, but it seems like they're waiting for something. Like the overall sentiment is waiting, and I don't think retail has really found their way back, and I'm not really sure what that is. Are people tired? Are they? But I mean, gosh, this is most great crypto news we've had in a while, and it just seems like it's kind of hesitating. I don't know if it's that bow and arrow being pulled back right now, and we're just getting ready to let it go. But yeah, it seems like there's something. What do you think, Andy?
I mean, I was pretty, unsatisfied with how he came out, when he's brought into, president, the inauguration and everything, because there's been so much hype
Yeah.
behind, crypto, crypto, crypto. And then, I mean, obviously he releases his own meme coin,
Right.
prior to the inauguration. It
Yep.
was like, I expected him to come out, swing and verbally say something. And
Yeah.
instead of just kind of hinting around or, a news article here, just verbally being open about crypto, being here to stay. So I think people are still kind of seeing is it was it a ploy
Yeah.
to get the hype, because
Yep.
obviously crypto is kind of the next big thing, and that pulls in a whole other
Whole
group
ton of
of
voters.
voters and people coming in, or is he seriously going to do what he says he's going to? So I think we just have to hear that, you know, this is what I want. This is how it is. This is how we're moving forward. And then we'll start seeing that push within the market. Because, I mean, the market's been pretty, I mean, when you look at it from like a monthly perspective, everything's pretty much just kind of chilled out on
Yep.
every single project, which is weird to see when it's like there's so much hype behind everything.
Right.
So we'll have to see how that goes. He just got to come out and say something.
100%. We're all waiting to become bazillionaires and gazillionaires, which leads me to the question, which I want to finally introduce our guest, Nick Shepard. We've talked for a minute. So, Nick, everyone asked me who's in the crypto, I don't know shit about shit on this, how you read those charts and what all those candles mean, and how do I go, boom, this is the path to become a bazillionaire.
I'll let you know as soon as I become a bazillionaire. No, honestly, people are gonna hate me for saying this, and I'm pretty sure Andy will agree. It's time. There's no one way to wrap your head around staring at a chart and just understand it instantly. I've only been in the space and staring at charts for roughly 7 years. Andy, I think you're sitting at 19 or something like that, right, bud?
19 years, man. You see what
Um,
I did to my hair.
yeah. And I'm still learning, man. And trust me, there are times where I'm staring at charts and I'm timid to pull the trigger still on certain things. But it's just time, man. And there's no way around that, in my opinion. Once you do spend enough time, uh, you start to understand price action, if that makes sense. You start to see how things move and the flow based on even what asset it is. Like right now, Andy's got me staring at US 30, and I'm starting to learn her flow and see how she moves because she moves significantly different than the crypto space, right? But again, and I'm kind of just rambling to try and give more information to that question, but it's time, man. And there's no, in my opinion, there's absolutely no way around it.
Oh, I wanted to ask a question, but Jake, I'll let
Go
you.
ahead.
The only thing I was going to ask is because the moment he said, staring at US 30 is completely different than crypto. I, as a complete new person to even finance, no, I don't hold any of these degrees like the rest of y'all gents. I'm new to all this. Immediately went, that's interesting. How would that be a completely different thing? Because it's often billed when you see these people like, oh, reading a chart is the same as da 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 da, and they want to pass it off that way when you see all the hype on the TikToks and the social media.
Yeah,
And
those are the
he's saying something
scammers.
completely different. Yeah, but that's good for people to know because once he said it, I was like, whoa, I didn't know that.
But
So
I,
can you
I mean, I think every asset's going to move different, but I think there are some fundamental things we can teach people today. And that's
Oh,
what I'm,
sure.
100%. Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
resistance, there's support. Like, how do we find that? How do we look at, what do we use? Do you use Trading View? That's what I use. But like, what do you all use? Like, it's very easy to, zoom out and then literally find that support line. And hey, if we're, dipping below that, maybe it's a buy zone, maybe it's not. And then if it's not, what are you looking at? Like your trends. So like, I'd like to give them something other
Sure.
than just time. And I think we can start with resistance, support, and kind of things like what are you doing when you pull up a chart? What are you using? Is it Trading View? And let's just go into those things.
Yeah, I track mostly on TradingView.
Okay.
I mean it's kind of the basic go-to.
Yeah.
It's not cheap, which it used to be a lot cheaper. It just seems to keep getting more expensive every year, which is weird. But yeah, man, believe it or not, when I first got into this, and I've heard Andy say it, and it's true, is that everyone that's new to trading thinks there's like some silver bullet. There's going to be some indicator,
Mhm.
some buy-in thing that you can use that's going to teach you when to pull the trigger 100% every time, right? Whether it's a sell or a buy. But again, like you're 100% correct. The more time I've spent, I've started to simplify the way I look at things. Yes. Am I looking at trend breaks? Yes. Am I looking at strength and resistance movements? Yes. And that's all based off of price history. But what if there is no price history? What if we're in price discovery? What if,
Mhm.
things like that are happening? Um,
So what's price discovery mean, right? That means it's busted through its resistance line, correct? And now,
well, it means it's hitting a new all-time high and continuing to move
right,
forward, right?
So
right,
like
So
H bar, I mean H bar essentially, if you look at H bar on the monthly, I mean it's basically has two wicks at the top at 39
yep,
cents. So
yep.
if
What's
it were to get back up into that area, then we would say it's in price discovery mode because there would be no other points of interest to compare it to on the left side of the chart.
Correct. And that 39 would be considered resistance in this current trend market. I mean, it's been as high as 51, 57, depending on what exchange.
Yep.
But right now, our resistance is about that 39.40. And so we see it start to move back up, and you're wondering what's it going to do. It might test that resistance and it could fall back down. Right.
Correct.
And so we're looking for trends and trading views I use, and I'm very new at this really. I try to use the tool. I draw the line. I try to see where it's hitting, its resistance and its floors, and go from there. But like, what else are we looking at, and say, like, are you guys looking at 2 months, 3 months, 4 months? How far are you zooming out? And then, are you setting your candles at 1 minute, 5 minutes, 15 minutes? Like, all those little things I don't really know the answer to. I just kind of fumble through it, based on, I mean, I've been in stocks for years. I had a Series 7, so I tried to just fumble through it, but I really don't know what someone like you two are really doing and what you're seeing when you set up your chart even.
Do you want to take that? I mean, I can only go off of my own opinion on that and how I work.
Yep.
It's based on, so I wouldn't consider myself a day trader by any stretch or measure.
Right. Okay.
I am like a long swing trader if and when I'm trading.
Yep.
So there are certain time frames I like to bounce between.
Yep.
I always look at a daily. I always like to hang out around a 4 hour.
Okay.
I will go into smaller time frames if I'm thinking of, okay, so call it kind of confluence, right? Multiple different things that add up to a reason to pull a trigger, right?
Mhm.
So if I'm looking at, let's say, a potential breakout of a old resistance for an impulse move to the upside, and I'm staring at the 4 hour going, it looks like she's going to go. Well, then I'll start bouncing into lower time frames to see what that price action looks like. And I'm not going to start charting it necessarily, but I'm going to look to see if it's showing strength. Is there volume coming in? Are the candles starting to move to the upside, or is she looking like she's getting weak? That's kind of the only time I really start bouncing around the smaller time frames. And believe it or not, one of my favorite smaller time frames, which is a really weird one, is a 7 minute.
Okay.
I learned that from one guy a couple years ago, and I think it's one of those weird things where it's just contrary to what most people are looking at, but it seems to always give me, I mean, at least like 85 to 90% of the time, it gives me an idea of what direction the price is probably going to
So when
go.
you say 7 minute, you mean a 7 minute candle print?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
So for our listeners out there, if you're never looked at a chart and you break it down, and if I misspeak, Nick and Andy step in, but I'm trying to help people visualize this. As the market moves, you can set it for a minute, 5 minute. Obviously, Nick likes a 7 minute, a 15 minute, and that's where the candle is, and that's how the market's moving. So if it's green, if it's going up, it's going to be a green candle, and it's going to be moving up. And at the end of whether you set it for a minute or 7 minutes, then what does it print next? Does it now print another green and it moves on up, or does it go back into the red and move down? So that's what he's looking at when he says 7 minutes.
Yeah. Sorry, I know I'm not used to not having visuals to show people when I'm talking about stuff, so I'm trying to not like get super to detail that won't make sense without something to look at.
Yeah. I just want people to leave this episode and be able to look at a chart and kind of just have the basics. Obviously, we're not going to be able to teach them, they should come to Nashville if they want that.
There you go.
But, we're just trying to give some basics here on how you even, I know some people look at a chart and they just, I mean, their heads spin because and I don't know, Jeff, maybe you're there, but, Jeff, you have least experience, so maybe you have some other questions on this to guide it.
Well, I guess the first thing that comes to my mind when you talk about resistance and support, immediately I'm like, all right, so I'm trying to figure that one out as a just gym pop person. I'm sure I could figure it out, right? But I guess what I'm getting at is most people's question when they usually ask about crypto is how do they know when to put their money in and how to put their money in based on what that little chart, or if you're looking at Coinbase, that thing's going up and down for the hour, day, week, whatever. You gotta assume most people are on Coinbase, so they're not seeing these candles, so they're seeing like a line for the most part. So when they're coming in, I hear about support resistance. Now I've moved over to the new Coinbase Advanced or whatever that is, where I could see candles and I'm trying to make sense of it. But I guess my first questions are, how do you define that resistance and support, and how do you know among them when to like kind of just go in, or do you just advise people who are new to it, Nick, like, hey, just start somewhere and kind of go from there?
So it's not as complicated as it sounds, right? So if you're looking at a chart, you're looking at previous price movement history based on whatever time frame you're looking at. So we'll use an arbitrary time frame. Let's just say it's 4 hour. Okay. And the price is moving in a certain direction. We'll just say it was moving up, and then it hit a certain price level and then rolled over and went down.
Okay.
That's showing a resistance level. All right. So it got rejected from that certain price point. So normally, if you're trying to learn, you're trying to trade, you would probably put a nice straight line at that price point.
Okay.
Now, if the price comes back up to that point, and then we call it a breakout or a breakthrough, it breaks through that price point and continues to move to the upside. You've now had a breakout, and it is turned breaking through that resistance. Getting even deeper into whether you want to pull that trigger or not. This is old school stuff, and Andy would probably beat me up for saying this, but I know I've got to try to train myself to get better, but I still work in this mode sometimes, most of the time. If your price were to break through that old resistance and then roll over and touch the top of that resistance and bounce off of that resistance, and then again continue to move to the upside, that's what we call a bullish retest. And that is always a pretty decent entry point if you're looking to pull the trigger on a buy. That makes sense?
Yeah, no, that's really well said. Like now I visualize that. So like for those listening, if you're watching Coinbase and you're watching that line and that thing starts dinging up like Suku did. And I started kind of getting in. I got landed at the low fives and upper sixes, so I was pretty happy about that. Especially considering the predictions. But that makes a lot of visual sense for me. Andy, I want you to kind of bring a little bit of Nick's assets and greatness out because I think it's important for our listeners to hear where he shines greatest and what he does with you and I believe on your team and resources and things like that.
So I mean, he's a degenerate at heart, which is really cool. I think what's cool is he keeps things in a very real perspective. There's a lot of delusional cryptocurrency traders, where they're going to get in it. They're going to put $1,000 to $5,000 into the market, and then they're going to be retired in a year and a half. And a lot of that comes from, the surge of meme coins that we have right now, which is, we'll talk about that in a little bit because I think people really need to hear the truth on the meme coin fiasco. But he keeps things very real, very scaled down. He minimizes risk, which is huge because a lot of people don't get that. A lot of people will say, man, I would rather gamble $1,000 to make 10 grand instead of put $1,000 into a good project and make 5 grand, which is always weird to me. So Nick does a very good job at outlining projects that have a good team. He does his research, obviously, make sure that they have, they're staying active within their communities, whether it's X, Telegram, Discords. And then he looks at the bigger picture and just not on a day-to-day basis. I think when you scale back and look at the big picture, it allows you to take advantage of the bigger opportunities within that project than just these day-to-day opportunities.
Thanks, bud.
What is one of Nick's strengths that besides that when you say like, hey, if you're wanting to like listen to one piece of advice that Nick could give that Nick could then go give after this would be his greatest strength in terms of trading?
Deciphering news.
Okay. That's a really good, Nick, how the hell do you decipher the news? Because I can't decipher Fox, MSNBC, well, they're all liars, but
Or
you know
even
what
Twitter
I mean?
too. I mean,
Yeah,
all
I
those
mean,
people
that's what I'm trying to
chirping on
say.
Twitter.
Yeah,
Well, I think he looks at more than just one thing. That's
okay.
A lot of people will use like one news outlet, whether it be
That's
like
unfortunate.
one X group or one,
Okay.
Twitter post or one, news article. And I think he kind of looks at the full spectrum and then tries to put his own spin to that as to how that may affect a project he's involved in.
So it's funny you say that too. It's actually kind of a problem. Andy always, when he's like trying to help people in lifestyle stuff, he'll always bring up what's your screen time on your phone look like. And I don't ever tell Andy what my screen time on my phone looks like. But it's because I'm literally I'm a weirdo. I sit on X a lot.
Yeah.
And I'm blowing through a lot of news, and I'm looking for confluence in X when people are talking about stuff. Because trust me, there's a lot of stuff that people will drop, and it's either clickbait or it was a rumor, or so I am. It's like the only way I can really explain it, and it's going to sound really weird. So when I was younger, I used to have a really bad habit of sitting on Craigslist and window shopping all day long. I actually really enjoy doing that. That's how when I started getting into real estate, sitting around just destroying and tearing up listings and looking at them all day long and blowing through listings. Like I could get to a point and blow through a listing to where I knew exactly how much it should cost, what the ARV would be, based on square footage, what I've looked at, and it would take me like 3 minutes to go through a house and be like, okay, I know exactly what this house should be if we were to flip it, things like that. And I started doing that with crypto when I started realizing that a lot of the blood flow, the heartbeat of crypto was on X, or which was Twitter, which was technically back when crypto really took off in 2017 was a dead platform, right? But I started realizing that all the connections, all the teams, all the devs, all the deals, all the behind the scene deals was happening on Twitter. And so because of that, I really got really embedded in it. And now it's a bad habit, but it just keeps me on top of stuff. And once you've looked at it enough, you know what's bullshit, what's clickbait, and what's a potential for some news catalyst that can move some price.
I use Twitter a lot as well, probably more than I should be on there. My phone time is probably very high as well. So, for me, if you're out there and you just start listening to Twitter, there's people in the space who get paid to push coins. And so you've got to kind of think about that and look at the price. Like if it's already moved 10x and it's super green, is that probably the time to ape into the coin? So I'm looking at those things after I see someone talk about it. Like how far has this already moved? Is anyone else talking about it? And then, I read about the project, I go to their Twitter, and if there's not much, meat and potatoes, I'm kind of, a little taken aback. So I agree. I use Twitter a lot as well. I think one of the big things in crypto, guys, if you're looking to get into a position, a lot of this is narrative driven. I mean, it's great. I like projects with actual real tech behind it, like XRP or like an HBAR. But narrative is still going to draw a lot of the push. And so if something's on Twitter and a lot of people are talking about it and it hasn't moved a ton, you might have a good spot there. But again, it comes down to then, are people going to jump out really quick and you're going to be left holding the bag? So, that's a big thing to consider too. So I like to buy red. So I usually times when I buy into a position, it's having a down day. And then, I try to sell on the green. So I got in HBAR when a very low time. I got out when it was very much being pushed green. The volume was super high, and you can find the volume on Coinbase. Go into the analytics under it, and it'll show you, is the volume really high? What is its normal market cap? Is it soaring? Those are times, if you're kind of not super long in a position to get out. But I'll stop rambling now. But those are just some things that came across my mind when
No, that's all good info too.
100%.
Nick, I wanted to ask, what is your approach to taking profits and then reinvesting? Because I know everyone's got different ideas on that.
Yeah.
And I wanted to hear, with you being a long swing trader, which I never heard that phrase either in my life, and it made me think of pineapples upside down. But anyway, but what is your approach to taking profits and reinvesting?
Yeah, it's a good question.
So it really depends, right? And I know that sucks to say but it really depends on the project, depends on where we're at in a cycle. It depends because my strategy changes as the cycle changes. So let's go back to when I first started deploying capital at the bottom of the bear market. All right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So at the bottom of the bear, I had a couple of blue chips that I knew I was going to be in. I was going to be in XRP. I was going to have a little bit in Bitcoin, because I'm always just building a Bitcoin bag. I was going to have a decent amount in Cardano, a decent amount in Ethereum. But my point was in bringing that up is, so I've got a little bit in blue chips that I'm pretty much just like, I'm letting those ride till the end of the cycle. If I miss the top, I know those will come back to an extent, right? Then I got into the degen stuff, which is, we're talking.
Can you define that for our listeners?
Yeah, absolutely. So degen meaning super risky projects, and not saying that the people involved in them are risky, but they're brand new, right? Mm-hmm. So low market cap, low liquidity, low volume.
What's low market cap to you? I know what I define it as, but I think everyone sometimes has a little bit of I like to hear what you think.
Oh, a low market cap to me?
Yep.
10 mil.
Okay.
What's a market cap?
Market cap's basically the value of the token,
Okay.
the defined value of the token based on volume, based on I forget what the actual math is for it. It's
Price
to-
times
yeah,
total,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
right? And the amount of in supply.
Yeah, it's something like that. And so when I first started looking at projects, I was always so the bottom of the bear, I was looking for anything under a 10 mil that had
Okay.
promise. So like for example, PAL's kind of my claim to fame.
Mhm.
And I believe it or not, I actually missed PAL. I saw PAL at a $5 million market cap, and I waited, and I hesitated, and I
Yep.
waited, and then it was about 3 or 4 weeks old. It hit like just under a 10, hit a 9 mil, and that's when I started to deploy into it. And it did about an 84x after that.
Wow.
But that so because we kind of got off topic, and I apologize. That's my fault. What was my strategy when I'm looking at lower market cap tokens? If I hit a 3x, I pull my initial out
Okay.
without a question. Without a question. That was that, especially that early in the cycle. The goal, because I didn't have a lot of capital, believe it or not.
Yep.
I went into this market with barely 20 grand. At the bottom of the market. That was what my lady said I was allowed to play with, and that was what I started to play with.
Yep.
So for me, it wasn't about finding one and running it all and putting everything I had into it. It was how much can I build more capital to spread seeds and hope a few of them take off, right?
Mhm.
So for example, we'll just use an arbitrary number, but if I had $1,000, I plan on putting a token. Once that hit $3,000, I'd pull the 1,000 out, and I'd let the 2 sit and do its thing, and then I'd start looking for another project.
Okay.
And that's what I continued to do until my bag turned to more than that.
Can I ask you, do you do that on your blue chips, or because you know that they're always going to come back and they're not going to zero, do you let that ride on certain ones?
So I think that's up to a person's risk tolerance, right?
Sure.
I absolutely hate getting out of a project, thinking it's going to retrace, and then losing my position.
Yeah.
So the blue chips, I just don't do that. I've tried to do that in previous bull cycles, and it
Yep.
just never worked out for me. So for me,
Yep.
unless I'm purposely looking at something as a trade, right? Which again, this kind of goes to everything. Like you have to set rules. You'll hear me say this a lot if you ever hear me talk about trading. If you're going to trade, set rules, do not break them. For example, last cycle, I had a 30% rule. I would not take a trade unless it looked like I had a potential to make anywhere from 25 to 30%. Once it made 30%, I was out of the trade. Now that could come back to bite you if you want to play the what if game. And
Yep.
I have a story. I got into Solana at $3.
Oof.
I made my
And we all
30%.
know where that went. Well, a lot
Yeah.
of us know it went to 630. Some of you don't, but it went to $630, guys.
What exchange did it hit that on?
I don't know. In my Coinbase, I'm thinking that's what it shows. I could be wrong.
I thought it was 260.
Oh,
Oh,
last bull run? I thought it was higher than that.
no, it was 267. I think last bull run
Yeah.
they were calling for a
Oh, okay.
six.
My
They're
bad.
calling for 6 to 8 this bull
Yeah.
run,
My
depending
bad.
upon which TikTok video you see.
So anyways, I hit 30% on Solana, and I got out of the trade, and I went and looked for another trade. While meanwhile, that could have been
Yep.
put me in $500,000.
Yep.
But that was my risk tolerance.
Yep.
That was like I had to learn how to do that. So it's really about what your rules are and what your goals are. I get a lot of people that ask me, what should I buy right now? And I'm just like, what are your goals? Like, what do you like? You
I've
got
seen that before.
Yep.
if you don't have that plan in your mind, you're done. You're gonna lose your money.
Yeah. I think it's important too. Like, I have had some of my younger clients come to me and they want to get into crypto. And I make it very clear to them, guys, this market can swing. I mean, you can be down. I mean, one day my portfolio was down like $75,000. And I know to Andy, that's probably chump change, but like that's a big swing. And if you're not willing to take that, number one, don't get in. But number two, I don't need the money. I can ride that out. And I've had big hitters. So I don't put anything in that I need, because I don't want it to be forced to sell at a loss if I think the project's still going to go, but it's down. So I always tell my like a lot of my nutrition clients are asking me, should I get in? Should I not? And I'm like, probably start with the blue chips, and then don't put anything in you need for at least 2 to 3 years, and you'll be fine. So I just wanted to interject that because this isn't like trading stocks. These things can swing wildly, which you probably know. But if you're new listening to us and still considering getting in, so when Nick's talking about blue chips, he's talking about things that I think at least he thinks, and he might define it different, but that have tech behind it. They've been around for a while. They have a team that we know they have a team. It's not a meme coin, which Andy said he'd hit on in a minute. And so, when I first got back into the market, I went heavy on H bar, and I didn't mind putting, 50K into it because it has a really good team and it has an actual tech. So just keep some of those things in mind when you're deploying capital and where you're at, because all that's going to determine what choices you make down the road for your trades.
100%.
No, I completely agree. Yeah, exactly what you said for blue chip. Have they made it through a couple of bear markets? That just lets you know are the team still developing and putting in tech, or that'll let you know if it'll stay around. So again, if you do miss the top, which it
happens.
Yeah, it does happen.
It's happened to me. It's happened to everyone on here.
Yeah, well, that's my point where I say time, where it's like we've all I think everybody goes through these stages, especially in crypto. If you're new to trading in general, your first cycle, you're gonna lose your ass. You're gonna you're gonna round trip.
You're gonna hold it, and you're gonna ride it right back down. I did.
Your second cycle, you're gonna get a little bit smarter. You're gonna trade. You're gonna make a little bit of money. You're gonna get their feelers in there, and then your third cycle is usually what they say is your cycle you make it, right?
Yeah,
which is kind of where I'm at right now.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
I actually want to say thank you. You really explained that really well. The 3x take your profit, your risk tolerance, because I think that's stuff that people like. I'm like, well, I don't know, because I'll tell them like I'm willing to ride Suko all the way back up to at least $1 before I consider anything with it. So I'm gonna set long term. I'm a terrible person to ask what I do at 30 cents. So I really think it was great for you to talk about risk tolerance and how you go about assessing that. I wanted to ask, because you've kind of talked about your different cryptos and things. With that being said, what is your favorite crypto and why would you say that? Like, if someone's like, I think that's what we all get asked.
That's a good question. Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And
I'm going to give
everyone's so different.
I'm going to give you an answer that you're not going to like.
I like all answers because they're an answer.
I'm not loyal to any of this shit.
I like it. See, that's my boy.
This is about making money. People get so tribal over tokens. I find it to be.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I think it's the weirdest thing on the planet to me. I'm like, you're here to make money. You're not here to have a religious experience.
Yep.
Like for example, I was always big on Cardano and Charles Hoskinson, but they have been dragging their feet on a lot of stuff. And there's a possibility that they may never look. There's not a lot of TradFi institutional money that's looking at them because of just and don't know. I love Charles. I love what he stands for and things like that. But again, I've got a significant bag with Cardano, and I'm looking at it going, is this the right place to have this much money in to get the best amount of gains? Again, this isn't about like saving the world for me. This is about changing my life financially, right? So I will drop a project and move on to another one if it looks like they're falling apart, I hope that answers your question, but it's not. I'm not like that's I don't have a favorite crypto. The one that puts money in my bank account.
Well, I think it's great.
Yeah,
because
no
that's how it
project
needs to be.
Well, I tell people no project should become a passion project.
I agree.
Because sometimes we passionately get attached to it, and when we do, it'll murder you. I mean, I've seen it even happen with myself, and I mean, being someone who's been in this market for the trading market for 19 years and the crypto market for 12 years. Well, I mean, technically 13 now. It's like I still to this day get a hold of something, and it's like, ooh, the chart says it's going to do this, but I need to be out at 4x. I need to be done and just pull it off the table. But I'm going to hold it because it's going to this level, and then it bites me every time, So I have to sometimes keep it real with myself and checking it. And a lot of it's because it's a passion project. Like I follow the people on X. Maybe I know the people that are running the project. It's you get involved with it just like a relationship, and you want to see it thrive and you want to see it win. But like Nick said, when you're here to make money, I mean, you kind of have to be a selfish little asshole,
I
and
think
say,
what helps
"Create the
there, and I
project."
had a discussion with Andy on one of my holdings, and I'll give you a little more details, but I think having a sell price, right? Like
Mhm.
knowing what you're going to do. If this hits this price, I am unleashing this many coins. And if you don't have that talk ahead, it's very easy to talk yourself into holding and think it's going to double from there and then double again because you're so passionate about what they're doing. So I think having like where you're going to sell is really important so that you don't get into that thought process because H bar for me has made me a lot of money. I pulled out, took profits, which I'm still happy I did, but then the thing just took off even more. I bought back in, and now I've got a target. If it hits $1, I'm taking off at least 500,000 coins. I'll keep 100 and ride it to the top, or just keep DCA in dust collar averaging in because I believe in it in the future. But now that I have that dollar set, I'm not as tied to it, and I know once I see that, I just have to hit sell. And so I think that was a good conversation to have that Andy had with me on that project because I was so tied to it. I was willing to say, "Oh man, just let's see if we can get to 2 or 3 because I believe in the tech." But no one ever felt bad usually about taking some profit. Even I'm sure Nick, the Solana thing he told you about, still it could have went the other way on him too. So
Yeah, 100%. And to add to that, yeah, have a price target you're trying to reach that you will liquidate at, and have a price target that if it goes down to at a loss, you're willing to liquidate at.
good point.
I think too many people spend too much time going, no, it's gonna come back, it's gonna come back, it's gonna come back, instead of cutting their
Yep.
losses and moving on to another trade.
Moving.
Mhm.
Yep.
I
Yep.
agree with
I
that.
agree.
Andy, speaking of money, how come you haven't told me or produced Fartcoin 2 yet that outperformed the entire world since like
Man,
1931 or whatever that was?
that was an Instagram scam.
I know.
That post was, it's
I had to give
I'm
it a good share. It was pretty funny.
I'm glad you brought that up. Let me see if I still have it right here.
I'm not sure what's being taught. I mean, I know what Fartcoin is, but I don't know if I missed
They
it.
were saying that was like the one that just outperformed the stock market since 1931. I'm like,
Oh, okay.
that's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
a gazillion
You
dollars. Like
shared
I
it,
asked
didn't you?
Nick, yeah,
So we're gonna
hell
look.
yeah, I'm all about this
Dude, here's the
information.
thing about meme coins. Like, I just personally can't put a big chunk of change. Like, I can throw 10, 20, 30 into something that's blue chip, but it's very hard for me to take that gamble. I guess other people just have better risk tolerance. But if it's built on nothing but vapors and
So
that's just difficult.
so here's the kicker. um, while they put that post out because they're like, if you'd have gotten involved with it, blah 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 blah. If you would have got in on the bottom of that coin and rode it all the way to the top, it was only a 9x multiplier.
Okay.
Like that's really it. And I mean, granted, 947% is good. And if we look at, say, let's go back and look at the Dow Jones, and let's say you start investing in the Dow Jones in, 2024 at the bottom to where it's at currently now, it's a 200x. So, I mean, yeah, you would have outperformed it, but so would every other coin, essentially. If you look at H bar,
Mm-hmm.
investing in H bar at where you guys bought in outperformed the stock market in the last 10 years.
100%.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's like that's why I feel like there's shameless plug here. I feel like there's so much opportunity for people who are more in that, suit and tie investments, Wall Street stock traders, wealth management groups who are saying, hey, allocate $100,000 into the stock market, put $100,000 into the Dow Jones, and every single year, allocate an additional $12 to $15,000. Do it with the S&P 500, all this stuff. But when I look at crypto as a whole, to where people can be educated on it, have an understanding of it, you don't have to put 100,000. You can go into 10,000 across your 10 projects, and
Yep.
chances are you're going to outperform the stock market in your first 3 to 5 years.
Yep.
So, and that's where I say education, community, people watching, this podcast, and they start to dive into it and learn. It's like it doesn't take the big money to make big money anymore. And H bar wasn't a meme coin.
No, not at all. I mean,
I hate that I missed H bar.
I'll tell you what, when I started researching that thing and I looked at the tech and the people that were on their board, Google and IBM and all this, I was like, if I throw 30 or 50 at this, it can't go much lower than 4 cents. It's been around for a long
Yeah.
time. I was like, I'll just let it ride. And then sure as shit, Trump won and it just took off. I'm like,
Yep.
wow, but that was my thought process. This is a good project. It can't go much lower. So I feel okay. I would never be able to put that kind of money in a fart coin or a butthole coin. You know what I mean? Like, I just personally couldn't.
You could
Well,
do that. Why wouldn't you
no.
do that?
You know what I mean?
I wish I'd put
and I think
$1,000
this-
into Crypto Congress.
and I think this opens up the conversation of, there's a lot of new people that are joining, the Discord. There's a lot of new people watching the
Yes.
podcast. There's a lot of people seeing what's going on Facebook and TikToks and YouTubes and all this stuff about the meme coin, frenzies and how much money there is to be made. But I mean, let's be honest, guys, at the end of the day, I mean, it's a straight up gamble at the casino.
Yes.
And that's the thing has good money been made? Yes. And I mean, I'll talk about my own self. I started my Phantom, what I call my meme wallet, which is just my goof off money. That's just
Yep.
strictly goof off money. I put like $1,000, no, 1,500 plus that. I put $2,200 in it.
Yeah.
And after $2,200, I had the wallet at one point all the way up to $44,000 and couldn't get out in time because the coin that I was in was dropping so hard.
Dropping so fast. Yeah.
And then I was able to get out in that one at like 13K. And then I got in another project and that one did like a 3X. And I was like, you know what? Cool. I'm going to hold this one, see what happens. And after all my meme plays that I've had, I've walked away with $23,000 out of all of them. And I've had crazy runs.
Yep.
And most people would say, well, man, Andy, that's a really good run. It is, but I've also lost on so many other plays. And had I went in every single play people were talking about, I'd have lost all my money.
100%.
So, I want people to understand, yes, there's money to be made if you've got the means of gambling. Throw 1,000, 1,500, $2,000 in there, throw $100 in a project. If the project goes 10X, you just made $1,000. Throw it back in your wallet and make that just your meme wallet. And that's the only thing you're going to trade. But when it comes to taking it serious, you can't trade the meme coins as you would with real money, or you're just going to end up broke.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, I actually, it's funny you say that because I did the same thing. Going back to Solana, when it looked like Solana was going to make it through the whole FTX stuff, and ETH was kind of lacking, I peeled off an entire ETH and threw it in Solana. And that turned into 10 grand. And so when people ask me, like, what do I play with? I was like, I allowed myself to play with my Solana. And I suck at memes. Like, I really do. I don't like them. I'm not good
I
at
don't
them
either.
I believe it or not, the most money I ever made off of a meme was the Trump coin.
Oh, wow.
I love memes. After Andy threw Crypto Congress out there, sold.
Dude, Crypto Congress was, I really wish I'd have went heavy in that one.
Me too, because I had 9X'd it. I wish I was damn put like paltry $50 in it.
Yeah, I saw it and was like, pretty decent team, pretty cool social media. I'll throw a couple of $100 in it. And then after I saw like how fast it hit, it's like, yep, probably should have thrown like 10 or 15 grand in it. But then again, it'd be going against my rules.
Yep.
Just said, you've got to trade it, because what happens is if you fall into that mindset, then you're going to do that with every single coin and you're going to lose a crap ton of money.
Yep.
Yeah. So, I'm like Nick. I'm not great at memes. I got the hang of it when I was out of town. We got locked out of our hotel room, so Aria ran for the key card. I got on the Discord. Andy had just made a call on our rod. I forget what it even stood for.
Red Ring of Death.
Yeah.
Oh, no, that one.
And so, I put $200 in, and we get in our room, and she's like, "What have you been doing?" I'm like, "Oh, I just hopped in this meme coin. It was up to $2,700 at one time." Now, usually I'd sell, but we were kind of all pushing it as a community, so I held on longer for all the guys. But usually I would have been well out of that position at that point. But I just play it for fun, like Andy. It's a dopamine rush, but I generally keep all my eyes on the good blue chip and new good projects. So I think that covered it. Like, don't play more than you're ready to lose, because it's straight gambling, and some of these charts will drop hundreds of $1,000s and you can't even get out.
I tell people the easiest way to do it is look at your total crypto portfolio and then say, I'm willing to take out, if you've got a big portfolio, take out 10% if you want to play in this meme frenzy, and not just in one project, like to spread out. If you've got a smaller, portfolio, do 5%. And that way you're never really tapping into the core funds that makes your portfolio what it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nick, you look like you wanted to say something.
I was yawning actually, but no, I agree.
Okay.
I
Yawning,
yeah.
Andy. I understand.
No, I completely agree with everything you guys are saying. You know what's interesting too is because last cycle was when the whole meme stuff really started. Everybody knew about Doge. I bought Doge in 2017 because of just how cheap it was and didn't know anything about anything. And it's interesting that Doge became what it was just because Elon tweeted.
Elon. Yep.
Yeah, that's the only reason. Like people, I don't think people grasp that. They're still not doing anything with it.
No.
The original developer walked away from the project because it was a disgrace to crypto. Anyways, I had people that were asking me about it, like, oh, we're gonna buy Doge, we're gonna buy Doge. This is before Elon tweeted about it. And they would like, what is your advice on Doge? I'm like, well, it's nothing. So my advice is it's probably not a good bet.
Right.
I was like, there's plenty of other projects in the space that have tons of opportunity. And when he tweeted about it and it pumped it to an astronomical market cap, I had a lot of people get mad at me because I supposedly costed them money with my advice. And my question was to the people when they're freaking out about that was always, let me ask you a question. So you're sitting down at a blackjack table and the dealer has to hit on 17 and you are holding an 18 and you ask me, what should I do? I'd tell you to stay.
Yep.
And that would be sound advice. Whether you win or not, it's still sound advice.
Still sound advice. Yeah.
And that's the weird thing about memes. So then it created this whole weird meme culture frenzy thing just because Doge did that. And it's a complete anomaly. And it's very unfortunate in the space, in my opinion, that that's what we have. It's nice to have gambling and some degen stuff. But the amount of liquidity that the meme space has sucked out of the market is, it's almost sad.
Yep.
Yep.
I wonder if some of that is why retail hasn't really pumped yet.
That's what I think. I think a lot of it's in meme.
Or retail is here and they're just all locked up and chasing pump fun garbage.
That's what I mean.
There's just so much money to be had when you can go and gamble your money. You know, you go and gamble $1,000 for a 10x, you go gamble $5,000 for, a 10, 20x. I mean, it's kind of the new hit thing until people just go completely broke.
Yeah.
Andy, I'm going to toss it to you as we kind of get close to wrapping this up.
Yep.
What question would you like to ask Nick, and then same with you, Jay, and then we'll get into our coin review. And I had a couple questions the audience wanted me to ask you, Andy, about some of the coins.
Okay.
So you got to go. Sure, yeah.
Yeah, no, the question that I'd have for Nick is, for a newcomer coming into this, what do you think is the most important thing in terms of the starting point? Do you think it's charting, understanding projects, understanding self-awareness? What do you think is the most important thing when someone completely green sits at a computer and says, I want to get into cryptocurrency?
I mean, I'm going to piggyback you and say self-awareness, mindset. Look, here's an interesting story. I didn't have anyone teach me this shit. I didn't have anyone mentor me through all of this. Believe it or not, the short amount of time that I've known Andy is the first time I've had someone in my inner circle that knows more than this shit than me. So I had to go through all of the trials and tribulations and lessons and things like that. All these rules that you hear me talk about are all things I had to learn to put in place. If there's a way that I could get someone over that hump faster, I'm going to tell them to work on their brain without a question, right? So mindset, learn to set rules. Don't break your rules. Be aware if you're Andy talks about a lot. You'll hear people talk about if you're looking at a project and you're waiting to pull that trigger and you're getting that feeling like you're going to miss something, that FOMO, that jitter, that ooh.
Yeah.
Probably time to walk away, man. Andy's watched me. I've gone from hundreds of thousands of dollars in my crypto account to tens of thousands of dollars back up to hundreds of thousands of dollars. I always bring it up when we're talking.
We are, yeah.
And I asked, I'm like, do you see my personality change? Do you see me depressed? Do you see me walking around sulking when my bags are low or on a high? Don't get me wrong, we all get excited when things turn green, but you've got to learn to be even. I know it sounds so like cliche, but you've got to learn how to be even keel on this shit.
Yeah.
That's just mindset, man. 100%.
Yeah, you got to think about that, guys. Like, so I have, more of my money in stock. I came from that background. And so,
Wait, before you go, sorry, can I add one thing to that?
yeah,
Sure.
The reason being is you'll hear every one of us will say this to you. Do not risk what you cannot afford to lose.
Yeah.
The reason why I'm so even keel out of all the lessons is because the money I have in this place, if it disappeared tomorrow, my
Exactly.
life does not change.
Yep. Right.
Sorry to cut you off.
No, you're good, but I think that's kind of, I was going to tie it in. I still have most of my, wealth, savings, whatever, in real estate and stock. I can't log on to my phone. I mean, I can, but it's not as easy as Coinbase. I have a financial advisor. He's got me in positions. He does the trading. I am not as married to that. I know a few of my positions if they go up or down, but I couldn't even name off the 30 stocks he has me in. I know the Magnificent Seven. My point is, I'm much more intimately tied to my Coinbase because I'm the one making those decisions. So you have to be able to look at it from a big, further out lens, just like Nick was saying. And so at first I struggled with some of that because it was right at my hands. It's moving fast. I can watch it, and it, it's the emotions of it can take over. Once I got to the mind point of whether I pull this money out now, it's not going to change my life. I am up in my positions, but it's not going to change my life. So I've taken a bigger view back from it, and I don't have anything risk that will affect my daily living. So I think that's like kind of the difference for me. I was just trying to think of other assets I have, like my property. I can't really look at it and see if it's up. And I know it's going to take me a minute to get out of it. So I think there's some more emotion tied to crypto because we are the ones in control. And so working on that mindset, I think, is huge. And I think we've all had to kind of go through that. And one other thing I want to say, guys, if you're coming into the market right now, do realize you're in a bull market mostly. And we think it's going to hit even harder, at least based on past experience. It's easier to pick winners right now, but where you're really going to win is buying in the bear market, and
100%.
and investing there. And it's going to be very boring and very sideways. So just remember all those things where you're at and coming in right now. I wanted to say that, and then I'm done.
No, I think that's actually really great advice. You talked about mindset. This is something I did after we had the last podcast with Nick Comedino on. Every morning when I get up, it's usually between 2:30 and 2:50. First thing I do is get out of bed and I pull my phone up and I make a withdrawal out of my account into a cryptocurrency and begin my day that way as like a positive step forward, that I'm like taking a step into a different thing. Like I'm like Jason, I have someone who manages my money for my 401k. I don't know shit. He just sends me the chart at the end of the month that says, yeah, you gained this amount. I'm like, all right, cool, you're doing good work, Joel. High five. And then I do this. But that was something when you talked about mindset. That way it's emotionless. I can be like, hey, I did my first thing, made my deposit first thing in the morning for my future self. I get about my day, and then I look at my Coinbase
Hey, Jeff,
at night.
how much are you putting in? And if you lost that, would it affect? I assume it wouldn't affect your living. So what are you putting in daily like that? I'm curious.
120.
Okay. And are you going over a couple coins or just one coin?
One coin at a time. I just pumped Suku hard and gained over 160,000 coins.
Okay, so you do 120 a morning into a circulation of what, 4 or 5 coins?
Yep, just one at a time. So I've got scale over 100,000, got Suku over 100,000, H bar. I've got 50,000 in sand. I'm at 12,000 right now. I'm pumping hash AI.
Okay.
So those are kind of the ones I've been going on, and I was going to chat with Andy about some stuff, but for me, that's been a big step forward. Like my life doesn't stop if I lost that money. Plus, I want people to know, like, it could go down, but Nick brought up a good point. If you watch it over like a month, it's still doing more than what sits in your fucking money market account for the most part, unless you've got 100,000 plus more dollars parked over there.
Well, and
then you can start beginning arguments on that, perhaps. But for the most part, for what most people are doing, you get that money
I
back.
have that parked, and it's not getting me shit. It's like now
Exactly. That's what I'm getting at, right? Like,
drop my money market or my money market at the bank to 1% now. I'm like, dude, the interest rates didn't drop that much. Like, just from 4 or 5 to.
Just pretend like a person sitting on 50 grand and you put 50 grand in a regular wealth management group or the stock market. How long is it going to take that 50 grand to double itself?
It takes like 3 years done in the stock market or something.
So the stock market goes up to around 10% every year.
Yeah.
So if you put 50 grand in there at a 10% increase plus compounding, I mean,
Yeah.
whatever, you'd be looking at about 4 to
5.
5 years.
Yeah.
I can promise you, if you put 50 grand into Suku, it's more than likely going to double, probably within the next year,
Yeah.
or maybe even sooner. I mean, just the numbers are there. I mean, same with like H bar. You catch a H bar retracement, maybe down to 20, 25 cents. It's going to double much
Yeah.
sooner than probably 5 years.
Right.
100%. Yeah, and that's kind of like, just to answer your question, Jay, because I want to get over the coin review so we can get wrapped up. But
Yeah.
I want to point this out to people. If this is a big ass emergency, I'm not committed, and if I need to pull out my Coinbase, I pull out my fuck Coinbase, deal with the taxes later. If it's that big of an emergency. But the reason for me is I like to put my emergency money somewhere that's a little bit harder for me to just pull my money out of,
Yep.
that makes me think if that's an emergency or not. And that's kind of just how I've decided to approach my crypto endeavor to a degree.
And you've already made, you sold, I think with me around.
I've already made
8
20
bar.
G's. So I
Yeah.
mean, like I ain't hurting,
Yeah.
on that regard. And I'll say that bragging, that was just my first roll in the ballpark with it. But I think like Nick talked about, it's risk assessment. And for me, it's like, hey, I'm not married to it. If I gotta pull it out, I gotta pull it out. And if I have emergencies, I got emergencies. It's not the ideal thing, but people do crazier shit all day long with their money, as we've all seen over time. People borrow against their 401k, they'll go get HELOCs in their house to go invest in the stock market. There's all these sorts of shit, man. And I'm not like that in that regard. The idea of getting rich isn't necessarily something I give a shit about. It's more about when I'm older, can I afford those robot Honda legs to get me up and down a mountain with my wife? I mean, that's more or less where I'm at. I have no endeavors to have a helicopter take me to a yacht that takes me to a private plane that takes me to a private island. So that's just never been me. But with that being said, dude, I think this conversation we get in the coin view, I really enjoyed it. I loved it. It was very all over the place. It gave a lot of definitions to beginners, because that's the way the conversation goes with beginners in crypto. It goes all over the place. And I think we were able to kind of like put together a big key pieces. So if you all are listening, before we get to the coin review, you guys got any follow-up questions you want us to bring Nick on for, anything like that, anything you want us to expound on, please reach out to us. That's how I got some ideas for some seminar topics people want us to talk about. We're always here to learn and grow, so share that. And with that being said, Andy, let's get in the coin review, man. I'll give it to you to kick over. I want to begin it with Dent. What the hell is this? There's no new info. It's quiet. I saw your comment in the Discord group about it will do more than this other coin you were talking about, when this guy asked you which he should put his magical money at.
So I've always said Dent is kind of a sleeper. It's got great technology. They're an eSIM company. So if you're traveling internationally and you've got the Dent app on your phone, you can use their eSIM and you can use their international plans. And I mean, like I said, they're on Instagram, X. They've got an app in the App Store, and they had a really nice push towards. It was right around December. So where we're at to where it was in December was an 80% gain. And if we go out and look at the bigger picture, I mean, it's had runs to its last all-time high was, let's see here, right there in March of last year, which pushed us to 143%, and then its all-time high is 1,923%. So its all-time high came out of nowhere. So it set pretty stagnant from August of 19 and didn't even pump until February of 21. And when it pumped, I mean, it stayed within the same range of not moving, same price, and then shot up and did 113x.
What was its all-time price? Was it like 18 cents?
2 cents.
2 cents, and it's trading at like 0.0000, like
1. Yeah, 0.0001 right now.
Okay.
So yeah, it had 113x. So for every grand you put in, you made 113 grand.
So when you say eSIM, so people understand, that's mobile data, and so
Correct.
they can have this app on their phone, and they use Dent to basically fund it, and that allows them to make calls internationally.
Correct.
Okay. Interesting. So
so kind of the way I look at it is, it's one of those coins you can just throw a grand or 2 grand in, or just something minuscule, because if it does hit and it ever were to go back to that all-time high and got some, push behind it, it'd be freaking awesome. And there's been rumors about them, possibly getting listed on Coinbase for being traded and all that stuff. And I mean, if that were to happen, I mean, again, that's a win-win.
Yeah, they shoot up.
Exactly.
Yeah, I don't know if
Yeah.
you guys saw Toshi, if any of you out there, but like it got added to Coinbase, and I mean it went on a tear, and that's just a meme coin with no tech. Uh,
Yeah.
if you were watching that or wondering, I mean that can kind of when something gets listed to Coinbase, if you're already in it, you're looking pretty good.
Yeah.
You guys want to hear the rumors floating around about listings?
Yes, sir.
We all, if you're in the Discord, you know that there's a huge rumor that PAL is going to
Yep.
get be the first low market cap AI token listed on Binance. The next big market cap one is they're saying Ondo, man. Ondo's gonna get
Yeah,
listed
I
on
just went
Binance.
into that this week. I'm looking up pretty good, 18%. So that's an American coin too, I think.
It's BlackRock's RWA baby.
Yeah. So remember, guys, I was talking about before, and Eric Trump keeps saying it. We haven't heard it from Trump yet, but he keeps saying they want to make American coins tax-free gains.
And
So
Suku is an American coin too.
okay.
Yep.
So guys, I mean, if you get into those
Chattanooga,
early,
baby, the big 6-1, the big TN.
but I'm big. My dollar cost averagings are all set to American coins. I'm riding that narrative, and I'm gonna live or die by it. But I think that if that gets through, those things are all gonna pump. So
100%. Let's get into the other. That was that coin there, and then the other one that people asked about was why did scale pop hard? New question because you mentioned on the show.
So scale, there was really no reason for it to pump how it did. What I think happened was it's such a low cost coin
yep,
that when people are going into Coinbase and they look and see that, that 4 cent average has been kind of all the way across the board before its last pump that it had in
yep.
December, that it was like, man, it's kind of a win-win. So like even when we looked at scale um, prior to our meeting, which was on the 17th, I believe it was, I mean, that thing ended up pumping almost 50%.
Hmm.
Yeah. It went up pretty hard.
Yeah.
So we got scale if you want to cover a little bit more there, but then get in the rest of the coins, man, and then we'll say goodbye to Nick.
Yeah, so Suku, which I mean, right now Suku's looking good. It's sitting in that prime spot. If you look at it on the daily, which is the candle patterns we're going to look at, it's still chilling in that 6 cents range. Anything I've always said, anything with Suku really in that 5 to 6 cent range is a good buy. And then obviously, if it drops down into that 3 cent range, then that's just the ultimate buy at that
Yeah,
point
that's
because
kind of where I'm watching it. I've been watching this in and out. I haven't got in yet. I've seen Jeff make some nice gains. I'm kind of looking for that 4 cent, and then I've seen it rise and fall enough that I think I'm going to play along once it gets in that 4 cent range.
yeah, it's been holding. I mean, even since July of last year till now, it's actually setting in the same spot, and it's
Hmm.
only went down as far as 26%, which isn't bad for, I mean, almost what is that? Almost a year,
6 months.
yeah, 6, 7 months, and then you've got 107% gains. So a 26% downside with 100% upside.
Right. Yep.
So there's a lot of stability there, I think, and I think that's because a lot of people that are in the coin itself are not looking to take profits right now. They know that it's cheap. There's a high side on it, and we'll just continue, watching it and hoping that we get that push.
Wow.
And then next up will be our render. Renders below our buy zone. We said the buy zone would be nice at $6. At $6, that puts us roughly, I believe. Let's see here. At $6, that puts us at a pretty good percentage point from our all-time high. I want to say it's a 56% drop. So, I mean, anything lower than this is just scaling in at your dollar cost averaging. XRP, I mean, there's really not much to say on XRP. I think the XRP cult is just waiting for something to happen.
Yeah.
It seems like every single week there's new news with XRP and XRP, but there's just not the movement that I thought people were expecting at this point. Granted, 50 cents to $3
Yep.
plus is a
Exactly.
solid run. No one's going to be mad about that. But the one thing that I like to remind people about XRP, which I made a post about it on Threads and ended up getting 1 million views. Because obviously I hit on some sore spots with people, which was fun. I mean, they should have known it was coming. And I said with XRP, if we look at the monthly zone, people were waiting for years for this thing to do anything from like
Yeah.
what 20 2014, 2015, something like that. Maybe as early as 2013. I forget. Let me look at it real quick. I don't want to give out bullshit numbers. So hold on a second. Let me pull it up.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's why we are better than everybody else. We do not give out bullshit numbers.
No, I don't want to do that. Let's see here.
2013.
And XRP.
Nick's like reading the chart, merging it to time,
No, it's
using
2013.
some X-Men strategy that we don't know about.
No, I got CoinMarketCap pulled up. I'm staring at it.
Yeah, I was looking at it on TradingView, but I've got it linked to a different exchange and it's not giving me my history on it. There it is. All right, so from the time it was brought into the market, so 47 months before it had its first initial pump. And that was when it went to $3.34. And then after that, it retraced the same month and went another 39 months before it pumped to $1.96. It crashed the same month, and then it went 41 months before it just pumped to its last all-time high that we just saw it reject at. So what I did to piss the army off was you've got a company with so much tech behind it, with so much news, with so much, government authority that they're trying to get involved in with the banks and all these reserves and all this stuff. And they've been able to get back to where they were back in 2018.
Yeah.
So it's taken them 7 years to get back to an all-time high. And people, the XRP army is screaming, $30 a coin, $100 a coin. It's like, well, one, that can't happen because of the market cap. It starts pushing $100 to $150 a coin. The market cap's going to be atrocious.
Yeah.
But I think that with so much hype, there should be more than just these pumps and then drops, pumps and drops. And I almost feel like the XRP army, and trust me, I was once in the XRP army. I think it's your average person sitting at home that's in the crypto market. And as soon as they see their money start increasing, because it's one of the most publicized coins right now, they just start selling off. Hence why we've seen such heavy drops on every single run they've had.
That would actually make 100% sense. Is there any more we got left?
Yep. XLM. And XLM right now is, it's looking really good. We had it in our first buy zone at 37 cents. It tapped 37 cents, rejected 42 cents. So it's still sitting in that range. From where it's at right now to pushing back up would be a 57% gain. So I would say if you were to get in it right now, watch that gain on the upside. If it drops down below 31 cents, then you would just dollar cost average back in. And then HBAR, there's really not much to say about HBAR because we talk about it a pretty good bit. And I think it's just one that's a solid project. And if you can see the bigger scope of it, I say scale in. And I know when I said that the other day on a Zoom, people were like, but Andy, if you jump in at 30, 31 cents and it were to drop all the way back down to 10 cents, what do you do? And I was like, well, you just buy more at 10 cents and just wait, I don't think there's going to be any bad buys in HBAR.
Yeah, I think that's actually a really good point. Nick, as we always turn this over to the guests to say goodbye.
Oh,
Is there anything that we did not ask you that you want people to know, like maybe something crazy about yourself or anything like that? But most importantly, where everybody can get a hold of you, follow you. I know you do a really good live every day in the Discord, but there are other places people can get some information and talk to you.
Yeah, I do a morning just news show. I touch on the charts briefly, but it's more just just give you an update on what the market looks like and what if there's any good news coming out. I do that on Facebook Live. Facebook's Nick Shepard, just like it's spelled in my little box if they can see that. And
is that only for our Discord or is that open to the general public?
No, that's public, man. That's
Okay.
yeah. I do that Monday through Friday at 8 a.m.
So guys, that's something you could take advantage of right there. Someone's been in the market 7 years, showing you what's going on every morning.
Yeah. And that's just on Facebook. My Instagram, I'm a photographer. So if you need photos in your local, my Instagram, Shep. So SHEP_I_am, like Will I am, but Shep I am.
And he accepts crypto as payments for photography.
Of course he does.
100%. You know, it's funny you said that. When Ben started hiring me to shoot him, he goes, "You want cash?" And I looked at him sideways, and I was like, "No, I want crypto." He goes, "Oh, okay, yeah."
I tell every business owner, in a bear market, you accept nothing but cryptocurrency. Because in a bear market, if you're accepting cryptocurrency, you can give discounts on your services and you're always going to come out ahead every single time.
100%.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Oh no, I was trying to get crypto payments at the gym. It's coming. Figure it
That'd
out.
be
Hey, that's
badass.
easy. That's easy. You got Coinbase Commerce. So you can
Dude,
set up memberships. You can set up everything through Coinbase now.
tell it there. I'll tell her tomorrow. Today's her birthday.
Yeah.
So, hey, because she's all for it. She's like, the buddy that's at the chick house, she's like, do you want to just park it
So then
somewhere?
do you,
No.
Andy, then do as the business, do you designate which ones you accept, or would you accept all?
I mean, I'll pretty much accept anything in a
Would you?
bear market, unless it's just something that's really crappy.
Yeah.
If it's just something terrible, I'm not going to touch it. I mean, I want to stay with,
XRP.
yeah, I mean, XRP, Solana, Ethereum, Bitcoin. I mean, I'll accept all those. You're not going to have as much movement in it. So I'll look and just say, what are most people going to have in their wallet that they could send me or possibly purchase for a discount? Because
Yeah.
that's a lot of things. Some people don't have the crypto, but they're like, man, if I can get a 50% off deal,
Bingo.
yeah, what do I need to do? And it's like, download Coinbase,
Yeah.
put in your debit card, and go ahead and buy Suku and
Yeah.
send me Suku. And that's it.
Yeah.
Now, granted, I could take the cash because people ask me all the time, why don't you just take the cash and then you can convert it and you can do this? Well, because if it's asset to asset being sent to me, I'm
Tax
receiving
free.
the asset.
Yep. I like it.
Oh, man. Damn it. Now I gotta go redo my whole payment system and everything. Like, now I know it's all tax free. I'll be like, shit, man. I'm tired of watching my money walk overseas. I mean, that's a whole other topic for another day. I'll keep
Yeah, I
that
mean, you
one.
can even do like at your gym. I mean, you
Yeah.
could do yearly memberships.
Jeff,
Yeah,
you could
no, that's
accept
what I do.
you could accept the top 10 American coins.
Yep.
You know,
I just accept Suku. I'm like, Andy, I feel it's gonna be a good pop. I'll be like, Suku.
yeah, man, whatever works for you.
I've always
Listen, I'm trying
said,
to convert Jay into Suku. It's coming. It's
hey,
coming.
I've always said, Suku hits $5, I'm getting Suku tattooed somewhere on me.
Oh my God. If that, dude, I will hold the camera and do the live.
Well, it's funny because all it takes is one movement. I mean, if you look at the total
Yeah.
supply in coins, it's not much there.
Mm.
There's not much at all. And I've always said Coinbase knows something that we don't, because Nick even said that to me. He was like, I can't figure out why Suku is even listed on Coinbase.
I know. I was wondering.
Well, it's such a low market cap, right? You usually
Right.
don't see super micro cap coins like that on.
What is that? Is it 21 million market cap or 200?
I think it's way lower than that.
Yeah.
Give me a
I'll
second.
look it up now. I've not looked at it in
I thought it was around 20.
3 weeks. Let's see.
So that
Market
was-
cap is 25.
Yeah, I
Okay,
was studying it.
But 24-hour volume was almost $1 million,
Yeah.
which isn't bad.
No.
And circulating supply of them is only 393.
Mm-hmm.
So even at $1, that's only $393 million
Yeah, market cap.
for a market cap, which isn't much at all.
No, not in today's crypto.
No.
Yeah, the tokenomics on it are good.
Hey,
And
did Trump
and-
say something weird or something like that? The whole market just started selling off.
I know, dude. I didn't know if y'all saw me over here smiling while y'all were talking. I had to mute myself just because the market just went down.
Everything.
I know, it was amazing.
Duke is down 7%. Oh yeah, I just dropped eight grand in like 2 minutes.
Yeah, if you go look at the Dow Jones, which is your top 30 stocks in the market, I mean, it just dropped from $45,000 down to 44,596, which is almost a 500 pip drop, well, 500 point drop. So, yeah, which I mean, again, and I know this isn't about crypto, but it's about just market economics as a whole. When Trump was elected when he won the election, the market pumped, slammed down, hit an all-time high, and then slammed back down. And then for the inauguration, it pumped back up, hit that all-time high, So I tell everyone there's no reason for our stock markets to be at all-time highs right now, because nothing's taken shape yet. There's nothing that's been done in the U.S. That's, I mean, we've had some policy changes, we've had some things we've changed here and there, but I mean, at the end of the day, we're too early into this, new president, into his new, for whatever you want to call it, his people, and for us to really say we should be at an all-time high. So I think the markets will have to see some sort of retracement, and if we can see a retracement in the stock market, typically we'll start to see more money flow into the crypto side of it.
So, yeah. Well, if it's down pretty nice, I have some entries that I want to get into Ondo and Onyx Coin at again. So I'll just be buying, I guess.
Yeah, I wanted to say this to wrap it up. From what I think, from as just a Gen Pop person new to this whole shit, who talks to Gen Pop people like me who are excited about it and following along with me, I think it's going to take them having to come out and talk about like the safety parameters and the box that crypto is going to be in for most people to jump in,
Yep.
meaning a high volume of retail, meaning like that people who bought that Trump coin to fling over onto the other side. Let's assume those were all MAGA people, brand new, download Coinbase to buy it, doing it all. Like
Yep.
that's where the memes disrupted. I think it's going to have to be something to come into play. Otherwise, it's just going to be treated like, I'll throw some money at it, make some money at it. But the real money enters, I think, Q2. That's my
Yeah.
guess.
Oh, yeah. We just got to have a lot of movement with
Yeah.
him just saying something and being very blunt in his actions.
100%. Guys, it's been a blast. This is probably one of
Definitely.
the best podcasts I've enjoyed filming in a long time and doing. It's just fun to do, Nick. It was a pleasure meeting you. I look forward to meeting you in Nashville.
Yeah, in
formally.
Nashville.
It's definitely a pleasure.
Um,
Thank you for having me. Absolutely. Thank you, sir.
You brought a lot of insight. I hear Jay's side, I always hear Andy's side. I see your side of the Discord, and just having the conversation with you today, I think opened the eyes for a lot of people. So I think you're going to get a lot of fans, hopefully some followers, and keep doing the good work, man. We really appreciate you joining us. It was awesome.
No, again, thank you for having me. Definitely a blast.
Yeah, awesome. Well, take care, guys. See y'all in a few weeks. Bye.
Yes, sir.